Welcome, guys, to the Holistic Travel Therapy Podcast. Again,
HTTP.
my name is Courtney Condon. I'm an occupational therapist,
John Wilson, Doctor of Physical Therapy.
and today's episode, we're going to be talking about our top three healthy habits that we've been implementing since embarking on this journey to optimize our health while on the road.
Yeah, I mean, these are our big top three going into 2024 that we've kind of already started implementing in 2023, but we're expanding and we're really focusing every day on getting these three things done. Um, and maybe you've tried them at home, maybe you haven't tried them yet, but for us, there's three things that are really helping us stay happy, healthy, and well on this journey.
Right. Like John said, there's many of things that we're implementing in our lives consistently, kind of evaluating what helps, what doesn't help. But we found that towards the end of 2023 and really coming into January, these things have allowed us to focus and optimize our overall health and well-being. So, do you want to get started, John?
Yes. Number one, I'm going to start off with, and it might surprise some of you who know me, meditation and breath work. So recently, I'm working in an outpatient clinic here in Phoenix, Arizona, and my days are a lot longer, more mentally draining, um, a lot of thinking throughout the day. I'm seeing 16, 17, 18 patients a day coming in. They're all, in pain or they need, my help. A lot of them are coming in without any, you know, script, direct access. So
Yeah, that's
I'm the one
crazy.
that's kind of doing the diagnosis, the prognosis. Their entire plan of care is through me. So it's a lot of thinking. And I've noticed after my lunch break, I was going back to work and I was just done. And then at the end of the day, I was done and I was just in a terrible mood. Um, I was just felt like a lot of brain fog and just so mentally drained. So I started doing meditation. Courtney actually, helped me kind of start with this, a little bit of breath work. So now at lunch every day or on the weekends, maybe, in the morning, I spend 10 to 15 minutes and I just turn off the lights, lay on the floor or even lay on the couch and I just do, you know, slow, deep breaths. There's a bunch of different specific, breath work that you can do,
Right. Yeah.
specific
Different
meditations,
techniques.
and Courtney
Yeah.
can touch on this because she's, read the books and she's done all that. But for me, just taking 10 to 15 minutes to just close my eyes and just literally focus on my breathing. Mindfulness is something that it really is. You have to practice it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It's like anything. It's like a sport. You have to practice it to get good at it because at first I was like laying there and I was like, I just want to grab my phone and go on TikTok and scroll. I just want to grab my phone, go on Twitter and scroll. But actually, doing it, at the end of the 10, 15 minutes, I mean, honestly, I feel like a new person. I feel like, okay, I'm here now. I don't need
You're
to
present.
do
You're
this.
yeah.
I kind of feel like I'm able to go back to work and I have more energy throughout the day. I'm still learning. I'm pretty new at this. It's
Right.
only been, honestly, I started this, what, 2024. So
Yeah.
it's only been a few weeks of me doing it, but I've already noticed a little bit of a difference. So, I know you've done it as well.
Right. Yeah. I probably started implementing it not too long before you did. Like I would meditate on and off, in yoga and things like that. But I really was kind of feeling the same, especially when my most recent contract in Phoenix got cut, and I had literally less than 2 weeks to find a new job, and I was like really stressed. And then we talked about it, and I was like, why am I so stressed? Like I don't need to be this stressed. So really, I've been meditating too, and the breath work linked with the diaphragm and those big belly breaths to help slow down your heart rate. There's so much research out there that just kind of coming to that center place, slowing down, and yeah, the part that's hard for some people is clearing your mind. But that's not really the goal. The goal is to find a state that makes you feel at peace. It might be having some thoughts in your mind, but they're positive thoughts, right? You're kind of slowing down, you're thinking positively, If a random thought pops up, that's fine. Accept it and then just try to focus back on your breath, focus on the meditation. Like John said, there's guided meditations out there that we'll listen to. There's, non guided meditations where we just follow our breath. So a little bit of everything. Um, and that kind of goes into my number one, ironically.
Yeah, what's your number one?
My number one right now has been yoga. So I love the gym. I still love the gym. But even like going from Florida, where I was consistently doing yoga at least once a week, to Ohio, and I was like, oh, I'll stretch on my own. And I wasn't really stretching on my own. And I wasn't doing like an organized yoga class with a teacher. And we came to Phoenix, and I was like, I need to get back into this. I need to, find that community, that teacher that really helps me to center myself, right? And kind of find that meditative state. And I've been doing that, and it's been amazing. And it's really like just kind of the meditative aspect as well as the flexibility, the stretching. There's so much research out there on the positive effects of yoga. And one study that I found really interesting had to do with decreasing inflammatory markers. So, inflammation is such a big buzzword nowadays. We want everything to decrease our inflammation. So, instead of going out there and buying that fancy cocktail that's going to decrease your inflammation, if you do some yoga, it helps to reduce inflammatory markers in your body that are linked to like diabetes, cancer, Parkinson's, dementia. So it's a easy thing to do. There's like even yoga classes online on YouTube. I think those are way more helpful than just saying like, oh, I'm gonna do it on my own and like just trying to stretch. So follow something. Even if you don't want to go to a class, maybe go on YouTube. Type in, yoga for beginners or 20-minute yoga flow. You could do a really powerful yoga flow in 10 to 20 minutes.
And I think that's a big thing with both of our first things here is that they can be done in 10 to 20 minutes. Like it's not like, oh, I got to go to yoga, I got to go to an hour class, or I have to do an hour of meditation. I mean, you really see results for both yoga and meditation breath work in 10 to 15 minutes.
Right.
Like for me, it's really only been 10 to 15 minutes. I want to get it to the point where I'm doing 20 to 30 minutes. I feel like it'll help even more. But that's the thing, you just put your phone away for a little bit and do these things, and they really do help. I do want to touch on the inflammation a little bit because that kind of leads me to my number two.
Oh, okay.
But no, inflammation's big. It's really the cause of everything, and
No, it really is. We could do a
inflammation.
whole episode on inflammation.
And we will. But it's the cause of everything, and a lot of people, okay, you have inflammation. What are you gonna do? All right, I'll just take a couple ibuprofen.
Right.
Oh, like, all right, ibuprofen's not working anymore. I'll go to my doctor and I'll get stronger pain meds. And I'm in an outpatient clinic. Everyone's coming in with inflammation. Everyone's coming in with pain and taking pain meds. And I'm telling you right now, they may work for a little bit.
Right.
But if you take, I have treated so many people, if you take pain meds for a long period of time, they are going to make things so much worse. So much worse.
Yeah.
A lot of people taking the codeine and hydrocodone and all that stuff. They are the ones in 10 out of 10 pain 24/7. Yeah. So as you get older, you just want to make sure you're doing the holistic, right things to reduce inflammation, reduce pain. And one of those things is cupping.
Yes.
So cupping goes back,
ancient
thousands
Chinese
of years.
Medicine.
Basically, putting cups on your muscles in 10 to 15 minutes. I started cupping about 5 years ago. Quick story on cupping. Didn't learn about it in school. Went to a job in Florida, PT Solutions. Shout out Harold and John. My clinic director, Harold, was doing cupping on a lot of people, and I was like, you're doing cupping, like you're making people have bruises, like that's not going to do anything. You're really not helping people. I don't know what you're doing. So he's like, let me just try it on you one time. So he cupped my shoulder, and I went home. I remember I took a nap, and I woke up, and I went and played in a basketball game, and I had 40 points, and I could not miss the entire night. It was honestly the craziest thing.
Life changing.
It really was a life changing experience because ever since that day, I went straight to Amazon, bought a cupping set. Again, they're like what, $30 for a good
Yeah.
set. Um, and we've been doing it. We've been doing it ever since
Right.
then, and it's helped my shoulder so much. I have rotator cuff issues from baseball and basketball my whole life, and going from just the shooting form, I'm able to have more fluid motion with my shooting form with the cupping, and basically all it does is it brings blood flow to the area. It helps reduce inflammation to any muscles or um, tendons, ligaments that are a little bit tight. Even if you have joint inflammation and you do some cupping around it, it'll help bring blood flow to that area to reduce that inflammation. So I recommend cupping a lot. I use it in the clinic a lot, and
Yeah.
I would say 95% of patients come back and say, "Oh my goodness, like that helped so much."
Yeah.
So definitely something to look into if you're having any muscle pain.
Right. We're not necessarily saying go to Amazon and buy your own cupping kit if you don't know what you're doing, but this is where you can reach out to us. Or if you are getting therapy, maybe you can talk with your therapist and see what they're, they have to say about it. And again, you can reach out to us and we'd be happy to educate you on it. My number two also kind of goes with the reducing inflammation because I'm going to say something very a hot topic right now, but cold exposure. I'm not the type of person.
Cold exposure. What is that?
I'm not the type of person jumping in ice baths. Okay, but I have been taking a cold shower after my workout. I have read the Wim Hof book, so I will plug Wim Hof here. He's he's got some great stuff going on, and I'm excited to learn more. But I was always like, I'm not, no way I'm taking a cold shower. That sounds horrible. Like, I can't do it. And I read his book and I was like, he says the benefits are 30 seconds. 30 seconds. I'm like, I could do 30 seconds of cold water. And so I started, lukewarm water first, rinse off, last few seconds, 30 seconds, cold water. That's all I got to do. Well, I was getting used to it more and more. And now I just like get home from my workout, turn on the cold water, jump in, clean up. I'm in there for like 2 minutes. I take a nice quick shower. We're saving water because I'm not in there too long. And I feel so great afterwards. I just like feel amazing. Now, if we're kind of like, oh yeah, it's so over talked about right now, but I just want to talk about kind of like why it's amazing sometimes. Because of the effects it has on our body and the effects it has on not only our cardiovascular system, that's huge, but also our body's response to stress. So, kind of what we've been going through in these different travel contracts is sometimes like acute stress. Like, hey, you got offered this contract, now you have to find a place to live. That's not, 45 minutes to an hour away. We're finding two separate contracts, they might not be in the same place. So these are kind of acute stressors that we've had to deal with. When it comes to cold exposure, you are in this happy place. You feel fine without the cold water. You hop in that cold shower. You're putting an acute stress on your body. And then you're kind of sitting there and you are just like getting used to it. And your body's like, hey, I can deal with this. At first, it was really uncomfortable. And now I feel so much better. Um, so you're retraining your body to adapt better to acute stressors. So there's a fancy word for it. It's called hormesis. But we won't get into that. But that's why I've really enjoyed taking cold showers. So not only for the benefits of how it makes me feel right in the moment, but the long-term benefits it has on acute stress response and resilience.
Yeah. And just one thing on that, because I've seen this a few times, and I did actually look it up one time because I was like, no way. So the drug cocaine, when you
Mm-hmm.
do it, you get I want to say it's a 2 times or a 3 times spike in dopamine,
Yeah.
I believe, dopamine, which is the feel good hormone in the brain. But then after 20 to 30 minutes, you get like a 5 times decline from
Crash.
from
Yeah.
homeostasis. So basically, you get that 3 times, but then you're going way below how you felt even before, and that's why it's a drug that people have to keep doing and doing and doing to get that consistent spike. But no matter what, if you're doing that drug, it's going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Cold exposure does the same exact thing, has that 3 times increase in dopamine, but does not have that crash. And
That's amazing.
it's kind of crazy to think about that. And they're just recently doing, these studies
Right,
on
right.
it, and that's why people swear by it. I personally have done it a couple times, trying to get into it. It's way, harder than I thought it was going to be. Like, it is cold in there. So, I've gone in there for what, like a minute or
Yeah,
two one time, but I'm trying to get into it. But just that, the scientific research behind it, that, because I was always like, why? Why does cupping help? Why does cold exposure help? I don't
right.
understand. Is it just because, oh, it just makes you feel good? Or is there actually scientific research backing up why it makes you feel good? And there
Right.
is. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah,
Thanks,
so
John.
we love that. Third and final, what are we calling it? Thing that we're
Yeah,
doing,
top three.
yeah, that we're doing in 2024, for me personally, is finding my flow state. And flow state is kind of a newer term. Um, I've heard it used with people playing video games. I've heard it used in basketball, and that's kind of where I am
Professional
in
sports.
finding
Yeah.
my flow state. Professional sports, yeah, any professional sport, any high elite athlete um, can tell you that they've been in flow state before,
Right, right.
because when you're in flow state, you just really don't think about anything else. You're just in it. All you think about is what you're doing. And for me, that's been basketball. So I've been playing, a couple times a week, finding my flow state, and it's just helped mentally so much. But the biggest thing that I would say to anybody out there is it can be anything.
Yeah,
I
anything.
I found I was in a flow state 2 weeks ago when we were deep cleaning the apartment,
Right, right.
and
Exactly. Yeah.
we were just like cleaning, listening to music, and I feel like an hour went by and I couldn't even remember what I was doing. Like, in that
Yeah.
last
And then
hour,
our
it
house
was
was clean.
just, and the house was clean, and it was like you can find your flow state in really in anything that you do, whether it's sports, painting, walking,
Right, right.
walking your dog, going on a hike.
Yeah, being with people. It's like that perfect balance, they say, between boredom and anxiety, right? So the challenge isn't so hard that you get anxious and you can't do it, but it's also not so mundane that you're bored of it. So that's why like cleaning the house is honestly a perfect example, because if we set our expectations too high, we would have been stressed with it, right? And if we didn't initiate the task, um, it would have been boring. And so it's like that perfect level of like, okay, this is what we need to get done. And we just started doing it and we went into flow state. I find flow state a lot in yoga or playing volleyball with the right team and with the
Yeah,
right competition. If it's too hard, then I'm getting frustrated.
yeah,
And if it's
exactly.
too easy, I'm bored. But that right competition just brings that perfect level. So,
Absolutely. Same thing with basketball. If it's we're playing a team and we're beating them by 30, I'm not in the flow state. I'm thinking about stuff. I'm not even
yeah.
playing that hard. If we're losing, this past Friday, I played against two Division 1 players that absolutely smoked. And again, wasn't really finding that flow state. So, like you said, it's all about balance. You want to find that good competition, or whatever you're doing, the good. You don't want to make it too hard, but also you don't want to make it too easy. So once you find that balance, you can enter that flow state, and it feels amazing.
Yeah. And every time you do something, you might not find flow state, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't engage in it. And
Exactly.
I think that's why basketball has been so amazing for you, because regardless of how your week's going at work, you know you got Wednesday and Friday basketball. And you're gonna like try your best to find that flow state because you know how amazing it makes you feel.
Mhm.
And when you find that right team and you find that right competition and you win 5 straight games, then you come home Friday and you're like, this is amazing,
On top of the world, definitely.
Right. Um, and that's what I think is just great about flow state is you can find it in anything you do.
Anything.
Okay, my last one, my number three, is gonna be about diets and nutrition. And I'm not like gonna start kind of being like, oh, your basic. Make
Fruits and
sure, yeah, make
vegetables.
sure you eat your fruits and vegetables. And even though that stuff is very important, don't get me wrong, right? Stay away from processed foods as best you can. But how can you implement it when you are constantly traveling, when you are, out on the road or all that stuff? So, if you know that you need to eat your fruits and vegetables and you need to get in whole foods and minimally processed foods, there are so many amazing, great restaurants out there nowadays that follow those lines. Shout out to Kava. It's been our number like one place to go.
CABA.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it's so good. There's a bunch of restaurants like there. like that out there now, though. And then it inspires us at home to switch up how we eat
It's
a
like a
little bit.
healthier Chipotle, kind of like a
Yeah,
Chipotle vibe, or the
it's
Subway Chipotle
Mediterranean.
vibe.
It's like
But
a Mediterranean Chipotle.
yeah,
Um, but even Chipotle,
yeah,
not. I like a lot of their new commercials. Not to get on
yeah,
Chipotle thing, but talking about how they don't have a freezer and how everything's fresh. Like,
yeah. Need
try to
that.
find those places out there. So we've kind of taken some of that stuff into our kitchen, and we're making more like quinoa bowls, or we're making like fish tacos with better ingredients. We're trying out new recipes and adding in some fermented foods, which
Huge.
is big buzzwords nowadays. Fermented foods, probiotics, right? Prebiotics.
Good
Um,
bacteria.
and as much as I knew about, from like probiotics are important, fermented foods are great, I wasn't really eating them ever.
Hmm.
I would drink a kombucha here and there, but I wasn't like consistently adding fermented foods into my diet. And especially when I cut out dairy, I lost yogurt, which is like a really big probiotic fermented. Um, so recently we've kind of been adding both yogurt and sauerkraut into our diet, and it's been great.
Yeah, no, it really does help. I mean, kombucha is something that you introduced me to a
Hmm.
little bit ago, and at first I was like, oh, this doesn't taste too good, but um, definitely love it now. The way you feel afterwards, you just feel better. It's getting that healthy bacteria in the gut. Um, you need that to help break down food. So basically, if all you're getting is fiber, and you think that that's going to be fine to have a normal digestive system, you just need a little bit more than that. You need the good bacteria to help break it down,
Right.
and that's where the fermented foods come in. So
And it's different than just a probiotic, because probiotics only have a few strains of bacteria versus fermented foods kind of have a little bit of everything. So it's like if you are putting fertilizer on grass, um, the fertilizer is helping to grow everything, not just focusing on only growing the flowers or only growing this type of grass, which is kind of what a probiotic does, because it only puts in certain strains of bacteria. So, kind of big things there, but just eating healthy overall. I think that, yeah, we'll have the occasional treat, we're big
yeah,
suckers for frozen yogurt. Um, but it's kind of like that balance, right? That like 80% we're doing good, we're doing what we need to, 20% like life happens.
yeah,
We want to
and it's
get
better.
something to eat.
Exactly. I mean, you want the balance because you want to eat as healthy as possible, and you want to eat fermented foods and fruits and vegetables, but you don't want to think about it 24/7, and you don't want to make it your entire life where it's like, oh,
Hmm.
I can't go out and
Right.
eat this or drink this, because of this or that. So it's all about balance. You want to just try to do it as much as you can, but understand that, like you said, 20% of the time, maybe you'll have some processed food or something.
Yeah.
Um, 65 to 70% of kids nowadays eat only processed food.
I
So,
know.
like we talked about the other day, if we could just flip that, like if we could just go
Yeah.
70%, non-processed and just 30% processed food, which is still like 30% is just
Can
seems
be
like
a
a
lot.
lot,
Yeah.
but just to flip it would just do so much,
Right.
for and we can go on a huge tangent and we'll have
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
episode about this as well,
Yeah.
but just
Yeah.
just just for mental health because again, serotonin, huge with mental health, made in the gut
I know. A lot of
to
people
the
don't
brain.
know that.
So what you eat, is how you're gonna feel. So
You are what
um,
you eat,
yeah,
you
definitely.
know?
And we'll have an episode talking about
Yeah.
all the good foods and drinks that we implement now. That I mean, 2 years ago, a year ago, I definitely was not
Yeah.
doing that, and I was not feeling great, most of the time. So it's really changed, you know, mentally and physically,
Right.
just my overall health.
And these things that we've talked about, like we said, we have added them into our lives to make us less stressed and feel better. And if you listen to this podcast and you're like, oh my gosh, I know I got to go to the grocery store. And now I got to find a yoga studio and I got to find something that brings me flow state. Like, we're not telling you guys these things to add more stress to your life. We're giving you some ideas of things you can implement. Like John said, the first two relatively free. Breathing is free. Meditation is free. Yoga, you can go on YouTube and find a 15-minute
Free.
free yoga class, right? Some of these things are free that you can just implement casually. You don't have to do it every day. You can maybe do it once a week to start off, and seeing what works for you, what doesn't work for you. I think sometimes people don't know where to begin, and we're trying to help you find that point of entry. How can you implement these things? How do other people implement these things? And kind of coming from a little bit more of a average day person, right? We're not over here like the Bill Gates and the Tony Robbins of the community. Like we're just two travel therapists that have needed to find a little bit more balance in our lives, and we have with these
Yeah.
6 amazing things so far. There's plenty more though.
Oh, plenty more to come. And I want to know what y'all are doing. So leave a comment. What are you doing in 2024 differently than you were doing in 2023? Anything similar to what we talked about, or anything different? I mean, we definitely want to hear because we, are bringing this knowledge. We read a lot, we listen to a ton of
Right.
podcasts, so we look up different studies, but we're still learning. And I think that's the best thing
Yeah.
about what we're trying to do here is we're trying to give our knowledge, but we also want to hear what you have to say as well. Like,
Yeah.
if, hey, I'm eating this or doing this now and I feel like this, that's kind of what,
Right.
I want to hear. So, leave a comment, drop a like if you like it. And we're going to be coming with a lot more information. I can't wait. We have so many great masterclass people coming on. So it's going to be a good time.
Yes, it's going to be an amazing time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and we can't wait to talk to you next week.
Bye.